All right, well, yeah, thank you for the very nice introduction. I know it's getting a little bit later in the day. It's been a lot of information for everybody, so I will try and make this short and sweet and not too complicated. So yeah, I'm with MDA, located in Canada. So first of all, thank you, and I've had nothing but a great experience so far at the conference, and again, thank you to all the organizers. Yeah, so today I'll be talking about offshore monitoring using remote sensing. I'll start off with a short video. Just so there's no confusion, there's not meant to be any audio. I'll do a little bit of talk over. It's only about a minute long, so it won't take too long. And then with regards to oil spills, I'd like to describe how MDA can help. I'll go briefly into how SAR can see oil on water, go through some industry use cases and customers, and then I'll just touch on briefly on product deliverables. There's a few slides in here that probably go into more detail than what's necessary. So if there's any particular questions that anyone has, feel free to join myself and my team at booth C1, and we can go in depth on any questions that you have. And then finally, I just wanted just a short little blurb about onshore monitoring as well that we can do regarding pipelines, because I know that's a question that's come up a few times. So this video is actually showing the Gulf of Mexico, which was mentioned during the opening remarks this morning. And this is actually referencing the Deepwater Horizon rig. So shown in this graphic is RadarSat-2, and there's other satellites as well as RadarSat Constellation mission, which is actually operational at this point. And so you can see the various, there's the platform. On the bottom right shows the extent of the oil spill. Then another portion shows a pipeline link where the oil actually floats up to the surface. Bilge dumping, which can be done by ships. And then of course there's natural seeps as well, which is also important for oil exploration as well as for current drilling operations where people might be concerned that they're producing oil when they shouldn't be, but a lot of times that seepage has already been there for many years. And then MDA's Oil Tracker, that's our service that we actually are going to be describing mostly today. And again, I'll go into some more of these in a bit more detail, but this shows some of the inputs and then what the outputs would be for the customer. So MDA has sort of come up with the top 5 challenges for offshore monitoring. So one is, especially offshore, you cover very large areas. And so the way that MDA helps to address that is using very large scene sizes and with varying resolutions to help cover as much area as possible in single image shots. The next thing is to early detection of oil near the operations. And it's important that if there happens to be a spill or an incident that it's action right away, because I think as it's been shown, depending on weather and other conditions, that oil can spread quite quickly, and that can affect the environment quite negatively, as we've seen. Reliable identification of oil on water. And so what we want is to have information that doesn't require everyone to have a doctorate in understanding the results. You want something that's actually someone as simple as myself can understand. And as was mentioned briefly in the video, I didn't get a chance to describe it, but one of the key factors with SAR is that it works independent of weather. Rain or shine, day or night, it's reliable. You're going to get images no matter what the weather is like. As opposed to, say, optical imagery, which is great in its own right, but it does have some limitations with regards to at nighttime, optical images don't work. But with SAR, it doesn't matter. And then sort of the last one is the interoperability and data sharing. So when we produce our results, we want like we can produce it and deliver it in our own formats, but a lot of times our customers will have their own platforms that like to have the data viewed. So we can work with the various customers to come up with whichever solution works the best for them. So how does SAR see oil and water? I try and make this as simple. There's definitely more complicated methods to describe it, but generally speaking, the satellite will, emits a signal, and then that signal will hit something and then gets returned back. And so we've characterized, what these different return signals mean. So for example, if the signal hits an oil platform, that's a very distinct signal, and that will come back, and that would show up as, these bright images on the right, at the bottom right. And then if the satellite signal hits water, there's another signal. And then if it hits oil, I always try and describe this using my hands, but essentially if the signal hits the oil, it's like the oil almost absorbs some of that signal, so the signal return to the satellite's weaker. And so when we look at the resulting image, it looks a bit darker where there is oil. So why MDA? So MDA's been, we've been in this business of oil spill response and helping with those operations for decades now. These numbers might even be on the low side in terms of the number of analyses we do per year. But we work 24/7. We have a hotline which, anywhere in the world you can call and you can get assistance right away. And as mentioned at the beginning, we assisted with the Gulf of Mexico incident in 2011, as well as many other ones, unfortunately, worldwide. And we are often called upon, especially during the big events. And we even have a close partnership with another one of the exhibitors here, Oil Spill Response. We work quite closely with them globally as well. So here's just a case study, and this is, again, I keep going back to Gulf of Mexico, and this is a few years ago, but the examples is applicable today as it was then. So in this particular case, at 10:45 a.m., the customer called our hotline reporting of an incident. And within 45 minutes, we confirmed that an oil tracker report would be available within 5 hours of the original call. We were able to plan the same day image because the customer had already been subscribing to an existing monitoring program. So those scenes were already pre-programmed and already in the satellite. And because we were already monitoring, we had sort of a baseline from which to make the analysis from. And so as a result, as we informed the customer at the beginning, within 5 hours of the very first call, we were able to have the image acquired and the results in their hand, which is quite fast. It's not always going to be that quick. The stars kind of align that day, but it just shows that it can be done quite quickly. And I personally find that remarkable because, the satellite's working up in space and we're all the way down here. So who are our typical customers? I think a lot of them are represented here at the conference. So yeah, there's offshore exploration and production companies, oil spill response organizations, as well as regulatory agencies. Now, I won't necessarily go through all of these points, but it's just to illustrate that these three different users have different reasons why they would want to use our services. So some of the pain points for customers with offshore exploration is that, the need for actionable information during a spill. They have to factor in the cost and the price of our services a lot of times, and this point's actually gotten a lot better in recent years, is the lack of in-house expertise. And then some of the customer needs is, maintaining records before and after an incident. That's quite important, especially when it comes to the regulatory agencies that I'll mention here in another minute. The ability to intervene early in a spill, and again, integrating this data in with their existing workflow and data so that they don't have to be using, different sets of data to analyze the same thing. And so what does the oil tracker service provide? It's a turnkey service to proactively monitor risk areas in a cost-efficient manner. And as mentioned earlier, detection of seeps and spills, so you can distinguish, what is, new oil from an incident and what's actually been there for many years preceding that. And then again, easily integrating the information products for use by the operation teams and response teams. Oil spill response organizations, their pain points, a lot of them are very similar to what I've just previously mentioned. But another key one with these organizations is being able to share this data amongst the other stakeholders. Excuse me. Some of their needs are early, easy access to clear information during an incident. And again, having this information easy to understand and share to their stakeholders. And what does the oil tracker service provide? Again, it's routine monitoring with a rapid response. And that's one of the key things I was explaining to some people that were visiting the booth today, that one of the key things is if you have this existing program, that means that, whether you're acquiring, say 2 images a week or 1 image a week, the satellite has already been tasked and it knows, when these images are going to be acquired. And so our customers know that, and that's a lot easier than if you're only calling when there's an incident. I try and equate it to, if you're making a hotel reservation 3 months in advance, you have a much greater chance of success rather than calling the night before. I don't know, that seems to make sense in my head. Regulatory agencies, and that can be for resources or environment. The frequency of monitoring, budget limitations, again, lack of in-house expertise. Customer needs, they want something that's cost effective. They want it to be able to provide assistance and guidance during an incident. And similar to the oil response organizations is the ability to share this data amongst different agencies and stakeholders. So oil tracker, I didn't really describe what that is at first. That's a term we use for our oil response service that we have. And so we have four basic tiers. I won't go into every individual item that's involved. But essentially, we can have it covered from if you want an oil tracker report every image that's acquired, if you want to receive the full image every time, we can do that. If you just want the images acquired and then you just call us when you need them, we can do that. Or we can just send you a report when we identify oil. There's lots of different ways that we can go about it to make sure that your specific needs are addressed. Deliverable formats, again, we like to work with our customers and we can make these a bit customizable to suit your needs, but generally speaking, we can provide PDFs, so they can be in KMLs or shapefiles, as well as GeoTIFFs. And again, the whole point is we just want to, we have the information and then we work with our customers to find out what is the best way to use it for them. Again, a lot of times our customers will have their own platforms and they would just like us to sort of push our results into their platform, because then they have a lot of other data that they're using as well. So yeah, as I mentioned briefly at the beginning, I just want to do a quick little plug in terms of our ability to monitor land as well. So with pipelines, we're generally, I like to consider, again, more of a proactive method through various change detection algorithms as well as interferometry. We can detect millimeters of change, which can be very important if you have land subsidence. It doesn't take the land shifting very much to affect pipelines and cause cause concern. So we can identify the changes in very early so that action can be taken before a pipeline ruptures. And then the MDA, again, has, you know, a lot of years of supplying these type of projects. And, you know, we also use optical imagery in conjunction with SAR imagery to get the most use out of all of the data. So yeah, there's encroachment detection alerts. We can have geohazard detection alerts. You know, establish a visual record of baseline and post-construction, and then pipeline integrity and damage threat reduction. And that's it. I think I went fairly quickly. But if there's any questions, happy to take them. And I don't know if you can see my email address there. You're welcome to contact me through there as well.
Oil Spill India 2022 is dedicated to the Honorable Prime Minister's Swachh Bharat Abhiyan and Clean Seas.